Newsflash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
Hi there, welcome back. It's a good morning if you just joined us here on the show. This is Prime Morning and it's time for Newsflash, proudly brought to you by the kindest courtesy, Franco Trading Enterprise. And we tell you what, it's the best place you can have all the gadgets you want to have, accessories, we have them. And if you're talking about phones, we have iPhones, we have Samsungs, we have Nokia, and all the latest phones that you want, you can get them over there. Now, the catch is this: we give you quality, and you're guaranteed quality products. And so do well to make your way to Franco Trading Enterprise and enjoy all the beautiful things that we have. It's the leading mobile phone, accessories, and electronic retail outlets that you can find in the country. We've got branches in a lot of places where you can also buy from. Don't forget that if you need a tabletop fridge, the best quality you need, you have to come to Franco Trading Enterprise. Now give us a call on 0246422338 or 0555939311 and speak to us. Now we entreat you not to pick any number on Google. Don't call anybody on numbers that you pick on Google. Call the numbers that I'm giving to you so you can avoid all these comments out there. Do well to also visit our website. It's www.francotrading.com and you're good to go. Now, believe you me, we've got discount that we're giving out there on products that we're selling, and we're talking about accessories and some other phones that you can also get from us. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is to just get in touch, visit any of our branches, speak to them. A 40% discount awaits you. Umpewe. Now, the kindest courtesy, Franco Trading Enterprise, will bring you news flash. This morning, we're going to go into the front page of the various newspapers, and then I've got my guest seated here in the studio, representing the various political parties here, NPP, and also we have NDC representation as well. And then we'll get to the movement for change. Now, if you're out there and you're looking forward to getting all the details that, comes with politics and all of that, please do well to stay with us. And you can send your messages ahead of time. Our WhatsApp line is active, so you can just drop your messages over there. We'll read them later on the show. And also, we're streaming live on Facebook, and so you can go there in real time. You can drop your messages, and we're definitely going to be looking at it as well. So that's what it is. But let's get to the daily graphic this morning. On the front page, it says that President directs SOEs to submit accounts. That's the daily graphic this morning. And also, CDD proposes shorter timelines for parliamentary polls. A petition, page 13, has got a story on that. You can read about it. And weather affects cocoa production in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, page 13, has got a story on that as well. You can read about it. And 3 Volta chiefs complain of harassment by immigration officers. And away from that, 4 persons remanded over Tema and Pakadan train accident. That's the daily graphic, the back page, reporting on some issues and some new development on the new train that had an accident on the test drive. Now, away from that, Daily Guide is here this morning. It says, submit financial reports, Nana Odes SOEs, and Africa Law Practice, NG and Co. Ghana form new alliance. And away from that, transparency needed in assets declaration, Osafo Mafo says so. Chief of Staff hails Otunfo, and it's got the Otunfo 32 and Fema Osei Opare captured on the front page of Daily Guide. Now, away from that, Baumia provides 5,280 dual desks for West Mamprusi schools. That's also the Daily Guide this morning. At the back page, let's get into the middle page somewhere. I had no feud with Lumba and Echampa says so, and Twinston hosts photo exhibition. Bobrisky appeals sentence. Some entertainment stories this morning in the middle page of Daily Guide. Now, the Ghanaian Times is here. It says, delays in audited financial statement, submit 2023 reports to SIGA by May 15. President bears teeth at SOEs. And away from that, brawl over increase in transport fares. We had that conversation last week and this week. I'm sure it's going to continue for a while. JB Dankwa do murder case. Kennedy Japan, Owusu Ekofo, others subpoenaed. And page 3 has got a story on that. And the Ghana National Fire Service records 5% increase in fire outbreaks first quarter 2024. And that's also the Ghanaian Times this morning. Now, 3 scientists received $35,000 to research into vaccines to combat emerging diseases. And 11 Yahweh supports vulnerable groups, others with 1.5 million Ghana cedis assorted items. That's also captured by the Ghanaian Times. Some good deeds over there. Away from that, the new finder is here, and it says Dr. Mantiao laments unfair treatment of ECG, and GRA opens special window for taxpayers to update records, and the cost of compliance to new EU rules bothers cocoa producers. And the big story over here says submit audited accounts. President Akufo-Addo directs state enterprises, and page 2 has got a story on that. You can read about it. So that seems to have been captured by almost all the various newspapers, and it has to do with the president asking all the state enterprises to actually submit their audited reports. And so I'm sure this week and next week we're going to have a lot to do with that conversation as well. Don't forget that Newsflash is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise, the leading mobile phone accessories and electronic retail outlet in this country. You can give them a call, 0246-422-338 or 0555-939311, and speak to us. Let us know what you want. If it's Nokia, Samsung, iPhone, if it's fridge. We've got CCTV cameras that are doing wonders. They are taking care of your homes whilst you're away. Your offices are totally in check when you are not even there, because you can actually get all the information, everything you need, the viewing and everything on your mobile phone. So you can go anywhere at any time and still be secured. And that's what we're giving you. It's the best quality on the market. So do well to do business with us. This morning, I've got in the studio Adel ibn Sheick Umar Ibrahim. He's representing the NDC, National Communications, and also Director of Operations for Greater Accra Youth Wing. And he's here with us. He's a family to this family. Adel, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, KMJ. Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Awesome. Nice to have you back.
Mashallah.
You know what it means, though? Do you know what it means, though?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know mashallah. I know inshallah and mashallah. Inshallah is before. Mashallah is after. I'm right.
Inshallah, okay, yeah. So pretty much, inshallah is if God wills. Exactly. If God wills, it will happen. And then mashallah is, God does what he wills.
He don't do it.
He don't do it.
I know. Fahd Osman is also joining us this morning here on the show. He's National Communications for the NPP. And he's also a family to this family. Osman, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Hope life is well.
I'm good. Wow. I'm good. Don't comment about what you see on social.
Oh no, come on! I've been following you, and
there he goes. No,
I think Monday you had a program. I think within the hours of 10 to 12 Monday. And you had this experience. People were sharing experience on.
Oh.
I was watching you that day, my brother. I couldn't control myself that day with laughter. Charlie, it's I believe it was very.
That's the most serious note, right? Yeah, it's on Fridays.
Yeah. It's on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Then I think I watched the repeat. The repeat on Monday.
I also watched that as well. Anyway, good to have you here on the show. And Opare is joining us this morning.
Yes, sir.
From the Movement for Change. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, my brother.
You good?
Yourself? Yes.
Great.
Right.
Good to have you in the studio, and many thanks for making time for us this morning. So we're going to go into our major issues, but do well to send us your messages. And this morning we are looking at IES, Institute for Energy Security, actually speaking of the removal of the energy minister, and in their own words, they actually indicated that it's not really shown a lot of effort in trying to deal with the situation, and so they believe that it's proper that they take him off that position. And Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is the man that they are talking about. So this morning is going to be our very first topic that we're dealing with here on the show. I would want to start from Osman.
Yeah.
In other people are also speaking about the fact that in a very serious situation, the energy minister will probably be hanging his boots and saying goodbye to the position. Well, he's still in the office. The institute says that he has to go.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. First, let me say good morning to my brothers here with me and to our viewers this morning. Good morning, and I believe this is my first time in your news.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
first time.
You were in the old place.
Yeah, old place.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
You love the place, right?
Very beautiful place. Right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And before I proceed on this matter, let me use the opportunity to also share the greetings from the leader of our party, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia. Let me bring his greetings to our viewers this morning. And also, very importantly, I believe this has been an issue we've been discussing early this year. From January, we've been having this discussion on our electricity and some challenges that has been faced with. I believe there have been several calls, and I think where we're heading towards, we should be a bit moderate in the calls we make. The reason is that the situations at hand, from all indications, I believe there are some positive news coming out, which I'm very certain that in the coming days, the minister will be speaking to Parliament and updating Parliament on how he has handled this particular crisis over the few weeks. So I think we should allow that space for him to meet Parliament.
You think Ghanaians haven't given him enough time? There's been a lot of grace period. If you look, like you rightly said, right from this
early this year. I believe crisis like this. Yes, we are not proud of it as a government. The reasons is that in political communications, for instance, we are in an election year, and we all know very well the history of doomsday in this country and how Ghanaians have suffered. Businesses paid prices for doomsday in the past. We know. So we are never. And as President indicated in his State of the Nation's address, that we've kept the light on for the past 7 years, which is a fact. So within these few days or few weeks, we admit there have been some challenges. Some of these challenges has been, shall I say, contributed by several factors. Let's not also take it away from it that there have been some other factors. For instance, where I live, on the Denta Dodowa Road, there's this new construction ongoing over there, road construction, expansion of the road over there. And as we speak, every day they move the light poles to a different place, right? So it has caused this kind of doomsday, let me use that word this morning, within that area.
It's not money issue.
So what I'm saying is that, the minister has given some indications, which I believe, yes, some session of Ghanaians were not much happy with the response he gave in Kumasi.
That was going to be my
yes, very. I knew. He feels same way. He feels same way. We as government have indicated in our communications that we feel the challenges out there. We are with Ghanaians during this period. We are not trying to run away from the challenges, and we are not isolating ourselves from the difficulties that these challenges has brought to us.
And if the government is acknowledging the challenges and the minister in office is not making us believe that he also faces
I believe as leaders, approaches to the challenges or crisis differs from other. You might approach to this situation might be a bit different from how I will approach this particular challenge. I believe what the minister has done over this period is keeping quiet, dealing with the problem, then coming out to tell Ghanaians that, yes, over the few weeks, you didn't hear from me because there's a problem at hand that I needed to solve. I think that should be something we should also acknowledge, that the minister is solving the problem. And from what I told you earlier on, there is a positive response coming. That probably in a week or two, things will get better. From all the indications so far, we heard the finance minister over the weekend telling us the agreement they had with our prior independent power producers. So all these things will come together and help, shall I say, minimize the difficulties within the energy sector. So let's make a call to Ghanaians this morning. With all due respect, we are pleading with Ghanaians that there is a crisis. We are not proud of it. We know we are in an election year. So we will be the last political organization to bring this kind of difficulties onto the Ghanaian people. We will never waste anything for Ghanaians in this particular space like this. So we are pleading with Ghanaians. Let's give the minister to a week or two. And as I indicated, I'm told last night that the minister is preparing to engage Parliament. And I believe there will be more details on the measures taken in solving this particular crisis. You get the point?
But that's the stats right now. Ghanaians have a fair idea of what's happening.
We've had discussions. We've had various discussions last few weeks. We've had discussions on money, on gas, and we know. That's why I indicated that the challenge at hand cannot be contributed to just a single particular cause. There have been several factors. You get the point? So with the several factors, you have to deal with them one after the other. You cannot use same way to deal with different problems. So it has to be some uniform in any approach. Well, probably what you are not seeing is that...
You spoke about our approach, and the approach is there. So people are asking simple questions.
Yes.
What is happening with our energy sector?
Yes.
We know we have issues we have to deal with.
Yep.
Can you make it even easier for us by providing us a certain timetable that would ensure that we are also managing ourselves very well?
I believe
that is also a problem.
I understand the timetable argument. I believe very well that timetable will give it more, let me put it this way, a more kind of acceptance by the people. That I know if I wake up in the morning from 8 a.m. to, let's say, 12 midday, my lights will be going off. I believe something like that will make life a bit easier and people will be able to plan their daily activities than to just wake up by 7 a.m., you realize your lights are off. It distracts your day, you prepare for something else, the light comes back, and I think that is a challenge that we've all had. And I believe our minister, one of our former Minister for Works and Housing, right, Honorable Atachia, also made the call that there should be a timetable. The minister said that from where he sits, and that's why I keep saying this, that he is the minister in charge of the energy, right? So from where he sits, he sees more than what we see.
You get the point.
So it has not gotten to the timetable per the minister's claims, right? So I think we should give him that little space. I believe very well Ghanaians has given us enough time with this particular challenge. Because I indicated, we've seen the impact of doomsday in the past. We've seen the impact of it in the past. For 3 good years, where we had businesses collapsing. So no Ghanaian out there will entertain anybody with these particular challenges. No, any government whatsoever. No Ghanaian will entertain you with these challenges.
A bit of time.
We know very well that from the challenges, in the midst of crisis, you need to take your time. You need to understand the crisis. At least outline prudent measures to deal with the challenges. I believe that's very, very significant. If not so, we will rush into taking some decisions in solving the crisis that probably those decisions will have been a bit different if we are taking our time. I know Ghanaians are not happy with this. When it comes to this power crisis, we are very much aware. We are out there. We hear Ghanaians every day. We are with them in these difficult times. We are only pleading with Ghanaians this morning. The minister has given indication that we've not gotten to a time where we need a timetable to indicate that tomorrow, today is Wednesday. Within this entire locality, we are offering you. No, we are pleading with Ghanaians.
Okay.
We know the times are hard. Doomsday is something we will never bring onto the Ghanaian people as a government. Thank you very much.
KMJ. Doomsday will be something we will never bring onto Ghanaians. But we're already into it. It was like, no matter how hard they try to change the name. I was listening to Opoku, the one in charge of the Vice President's Committee on Energy. And he indicated yesterday that truth of the matter is that they would have to try and get back to a few things that was done under the John Dramani Mahama administration. Oh yes, on Metro TV. He indicated, together with
things that were done.
Can
I
you
just
please,
wanted to pick notes. So
Osman, let him.
I want to pick notes and get back to him.
Anta, also at a meeting outside the country with the IMF, he's also been speaking, John News has been talking about it, has also indicated that we probably have to go back, he's telling the IMF that we are going to go back to the cash waterfall mechanism, and that there was a reason for which it was set up. We need to run one account. The monies we have to make sure that the monies get into the account so they can have money to pay the IPPs, and we'll come to it. But see, when I hear Fahd goes like, we are still looking for solution, the minister doesn't think, Fahd is not informed as to what is really going on. There was a meeting at Alisa Hotel. In that meeting was GridCo. There was PURC. There was the Energy Commission. There was the Ministry of Energy. There was a Parliament Committee on Energy. There was ECG in that meeting. In that meeting, it was unanimous. All the various institutions I just mentioned made presentations. To an extent that they all came to a conclusion that the problem they have is money. We need to find money. We have installed capacity of 5,000 plus. Our peak demand is 3,600 thereabout, which tells you that when it comes to the issue of capacity, we have capacity. If we have to produce today, we can produce today. The problem we're facing is having fuel to be able to do what? To power those plants for them to be able to work. Then they say, so Opoku indicated yesterday, for example, that there are other issues like what Fahd was making reference to, regarding technical issues here and there. So we said, okay, granted that you have all these other technical issues. Let's even say that the capacity that we have, the installed capacity that we have, and the available capacity we can produce, dependable capacity we can have, is 4,500. Let's not even say it's 5,000. Let's still reduce this dependable capacity by 500. You still have 4,000. And your peak demand is 3,600. As for out of peak, it is less than 3,600. Your peak demand is 3,600, which means that you can still have close to about 400 megawatts that is running, which is actually not being used. So technicality doesn't even come into the picture at all.
It has to
But
do
you see,
money.
it has to do with money. But you see, let's go into the issue of funding and the issue of fuel. Under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, what we did was that we identified the fact that we needed to do something different in order to have the plants at full capacity. So instead of relying on one kind of fuel, we decided that we're going to actually mix it up a little bit. So you have the likes of the AXA, the TTP, and all of them. Some of them using gas, and some of them having to use, crude, like pretty much hard fuel. We just basically balanced it. And then we gave you what you call the Atuabo gas processing plant. I keep telling the people of Ghana. Under John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, the former president, may his soul rest in peace, $2 billion was invested in Atuabo. Today, you owe Atuabo to the tune of $600 million of gas you have collected and you're not paying. This is how bad it is. Like you're piling up another, they're basically just piling up another one. Aside the fact that you owe this $600 million that you're not paying, you have also gone through a stage of messing up the Energy Sector Levy Act. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, before we left power, after we gave the Atuabo, and then we increased capacity, Aryi and the likes, and dealt with that one, we decided to come up with what you call the cash flow, the cash water flow. Okay, we decided to come up with the cash water flow mechanism. What the cash water flow mechanism is supposed to do is that it is supposed to basically have one account that ECG runs. All the monies that ECG collects, all the monies and revenues that you collect when people buy prepaid, put it in that account. In that account, we're going to tell you how that distribution should be made. So you have your category A, category B. Just make sure that money reaches every category in order for these things to go through. And then under John Dramani Mahama, we decided that this should be managed under the Ministry of Finance. When they came, they moved that mechanism to the Office of the Vice President. So as we speak, the Office of the Vice President is the one that is managing that particular mechanism. Over the years, they have not worked with what they're supposed to work with. ECG is running about 30 separate accounts. So monies are being run and placed in several places. Do you know the other funny thing? The ESLA that they bashed us for, they increased ESLA by 33%. After they increased ESLA by 33%, then they now came to introduce a new one called Energy Sector Recovery Levy. But you see, unlike what we did with ESLA, we decided to give it a policy and then show how it is supposed to be used. All the money is in one place, so everybody will have access. In fact, John Dramani Mahama indicated this categorically because he said we needed to find a way of making sure that these amounts of money goes to the IPPs. So for that sake, make sure it is one account. This is how you're going to separate. And then we sat down with the IPPs and agreed on principle that when the monies come, the last monies that you received, the last monies that the ECG received, out of 822 billion or 814 billion, what you actually gave them was less than 400 billion. So where's the rest of the money? Then you say, oh, Finance Ministry say we should buy fuel. No problem, it's fine. The Ministry of Finance itself is supposed to make 200 billion available to ECG on a monthly basis. From August up until today, they have not made this 200 million, payments. As we speak, that has also accrued to 1.6 billion. So even the statutory fees that you're supposed to pay to ECG for your colleagues and, all the ministry and the agencies and all of that, even that amount which you're supposed to pay, you're not paying. Again, you've asked them to take monies and then use them to buy fuel. They've bought the fuel, you're not paying. And you've piled up again about 1.6 billion you're supposed to pay to ECG, which has not been paid. You have collected 600 million worth of gas, which you have still not paid. That is also lying down. Now, the worst part and why we are in this financial crisis and why they are struggling to find the money is ESLA. When they came to government, our intention was basic. We've given you the cash flow mechanism, which is supposed to take care of the IPPs. So the intention is that we don't want to keep piling up new debts. So this one should take care of, the old one. We want to clear the old debt. At the time, what we owed was 9.7 billion. 9.7 billion. That's what we owed. ESLA has given this government 33 billion over the last 7 years. So what it tells you is that if you had used the funds in ESLA for what it was meant for and how we actually planned for it to clear the debt, you wouldn't be in debt. But what did they do? When they came to power, they decided that the 9.7 billion we owe, they were going to refinance 5 billion. Listen to this, WAP logic. They were going to refinance 5 billion. How were they going to do that? They decided to bond the 5 billion. So they sat down, brought in bondholders and said, okay, look, we'll give you this 5 billion. Give us this amount. However, when you give us, we're going to pay the interest on the amount of money. So you refinance 5 billion, and then all they were paying over the last 7 years is just the interest, which meant that the 5 billion principal was still standing. Okay? And then aside the 5 billion, which was still standing, you had another 4.7 billion, which is part of the 9.7, because you refinance 5 billion, leaving 4.7. That 4.7 billion has now grew on compound interest to 12 billion. So you have 12 billion plus the 5 billion which you were supposed to refinance, which you haven't, basically still lying down, which is giving you 17 billion. So ESLA didn't do what it was supposed to do. Then you introduce energy sector recovery levy, which is supposed to have actually come to help ESLA because you want to resolve the issues. What did they do? Then they put that one inside the consolidated fund. So they add it to all the monies that Ken Ofori-Atta is receiving, and then they dissipate them the way that they choose to want. This is the issue that you're finding.
So the Institute of Energy is justified?
Of course,
for asking the minister to move?
At Alisa Hotel, ECG admitted, the Energy Commission admitted, the Ministry of Energy admitted, you understand, that the truth of the matter is that it is money-related issue. Then John Jinapor asked, how do you intend to raise money to finance it? Then they said they're still looking at it. In fact, it took him a while. He basically couldn't give an answer to how they were going to raise money to do it. Then the conclusion was that, okay, fine. If you cannot tell us how to raise money to be able to buy fuel to power the generators, then institute a timetable. At least let the people of Ghana understand that, okay, this is where we're going to go. This is the situation now. So we can't buy fuel as of now. We won't be able to buy fuel. So for that matter, here is what we're going to do. Here's the timetable, manage it. They left that meeting and then calls from above. The timetable never came till today. And that is why IES is calling for the head of NAPO, because they were there in that meeting. The conclusion was done. The conclusion is that we need money to buy fuel to power the plants. The plants is there. Alhamdulillah, thanks to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. You have extra capacity. You have extra capacity. You know, when Nkrumah did Akosombo Dam, I made mention of this the last time. When Nkrumah did Akosombo Dam, at the time that he did it, Ghana was 5 million in population. But it was extra, we had excesses. Why? Because you grow into what? You grow into energy. Why at a point in time, during the time of Kufuor, we decided to go into thermal and all of that is because when you have issues of rain, so for example, say you have 10 Akosombo dams, you have 10 of them Akosombo dams. When there's no rain, all of them is useless. That's what it means. You know, so we needed to have an alternative. So we decided to go, you know, thermal and all of that, and then we brought in. Today we have done, Atuabo gas is there. It is supposed to help you. We brought you the Kappa, we brought you the AXA, we brought you the Ameri. Alhamdulillah, today the people of Ashanti region are going to benefit from Ameri. All of that is a good thing. We're saying that, aside that, we still gave you a way to clear that debt. The debt of 9.7 billion, because of your uselessness and your incompetence, you have now turned that debt of 9.7 billion to a debt of what? 17 billion. And then you have received 33 billion, you still have not been able to do it. You have instituted energy sector recovery levy. You're utilizing the funds. Nobody knows where that money goes to. In fact, Parliament doesn't even know what you utilize the money for up until today. The reason why we are where we are is because they simply lack what it takes to manage the economy. We have done it before and we'll fix it.
Let me go to Niai. Niai.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right. So first of all, greetings to your viewers out there, to my colleagues here. And it's quite frustrating listening to my two colleagues every time because it has to be the blame game. Everyone is blaming the other for something. And I've not had any solutions preferred here. It's quite frustrating when we do this every time. But let's look at this thing from an interesting perspective. I like that my colleague in his final statements referred to Nkrumah's initiative with building the Akosombo Dam. So if you're looking at the technology for energy generation, hydroelectricity is relatively cheaper to the gas and the light crude oil, the thermal plants and all of those other energy sources, yes. So if we're running on a very efficient hydroelectric energy generation plant and we're looking at adding more to that, it would have been prudent to look at other technologies that would have been relatively cheaper and more efficient or renewable, right? That would have been the way to go. But if you look at the generation mix, my brother was making reference to that, they've added to the generation system we have. Whereas most of them are run on light crude oil and natural gas, and these are relatively expensive. So even though we have an increased generation capacity, we're not able to fire on all cylinders because it's relatively expensive. So it's basically useless, right? It would have made more sense if we had invested in relatively cheaper or more renewable energy sources. Then it would have been easier for us to run this thing. It wouldn't be where we are. But I see, this brings me to my other point where I've said before that they do not understand the development process. It's more like, let's just do something because we have to do it, but they are not able to connect all of that and make it impactful economically. So, like I said, bringing all these thermal plants and all of these energy generation plants and all of these things, what has been the impact on the economy?
What could have been the best alternative?
Nuclear energy is
if you want
relatively
to run
cheaper
away
than all
from
of
all
this.
that
Yes. So nuclear energy is relatively cheaper than all of this. And it's interesting that you asked, I was going to come to that. You know, Ghana has an atomic energy commission, right? And the idea was that we were going to run a test pilot for a number of years to be able to develop the radioactive isotopes here in Ghana. And from that, we could build into getting our own nuclear production system. That was the idea, that was the dream. And that was established way back in the 60s. Now, again, because people didn't understand the development process, that thing was abandoned for a very long time. No work had been done on that, and finally had to be sold off as scrap. So Ghana had a nuclear reactor, which would have been the basis of developing a nuclear energy generation system or technology here. But because people didn't understand what this was, they were looking at other alternatives that were not renewable or sustainable. And that's why we're in the problem we are in here. So you see, all these things you're talking about, most of the problems they're discussing are managerial problems. But even if you should solve those managerial problems, an underlying factor here is that if you're not producing anything, if you don't have a productive economy, but you are consuming a lot, you find yourself in this ditch. So let's even say we're able to solve these administrative issues we've raised here, right? But you're still running an economy that's not producing anything. It means there's no revenue generation. So you'll not be able to meet up the cost of running this economy, particularly with the energy sector. I don't know if you're getting the point. Yes. So this brings me to my statement earlier where I said they don't understand the development process. If you're looking at running an economy for it to be efficient, it's not just enough producing energy. You should be looking at what are we using the energy for. And all the energy you're producing is not supposed to be for just domestic consumption. No. Then you're going to run into these debt problems you're having. But if your economy becomes a productive economy, where all the energy you're producing is going into the manufacturing of goods, right? And it's driving that commerce and trade, that is how you generate revenue internally. And that's how you can get to meet some of your debt obligations. But you go borrow the monies, we put into an economy that is more consumer than production. This is what you're going to have. You're going to have
that's what the NPP said. That they want to move the country from taxation to production.
Yes.
Haven't we seen that in the last 7 years?
So some attempts were made to make that happen. But then you see, let's take the one district, one factory policy, for instance. The engineer of that policy happens to be the Honorable Alan Chiramantin. And in that policy, he had suggested that we have to look at the energy generation technology and capacity. And he had made reference to nuclear and hydrogen energy.
There's something he mentioned whilst he was the NP?
Yes. Whilst on the NP, he developed the program for the one district, one factory. But see, the challenge that he had was that being in trades and industry minister, you don't have much control over the energy ministry. So his frustration was, even though he had proposed certain ideas, those ideas were not implemented. And that's why we're having some of the problems we're having. So the one district, one factory was supposed to be a fantastic program that would have taken care of most of these things. But you see, because of the lack of what would be the right word to use? But because it was not implemented as it was developed or how it had been structured, we are running into some of these problems. So yes, some attempts were made, but of course, because they don't understand how this whole thing plays together into one economic module, they will not be able to get it right.
So these are policies you intend to run
again? Definitely. If you look at the GTP, yes, one of the main policies in there is for energy generation, and one of the main key points in there is for the investment in nuclear energy and hydrogen energy. These are relatively cheaper and renewable energy sources, so we won't be spending this huge amount. So of course, it's a one-time investment, yes, and then you just look at the maintenance, yes. But if you look at what we are spending on light crude oil and natural gas, that is relatively cheaper as compared to these energy sources. This is what we are supposed to look at. But for the call from the IES for the minister to step down, it's worrying when I see things develop this way. How do I mean? Not too long ago, we had over 80 members of parliament call on the president to actually remove the finance minister. Yeah. And these are members of parliament. I said at the time that if anybody was supposed to be sacked from their positions, there has to be all of those 18 members of parliament first, before they even look at the minister. And why so? It's very clear. The members of parliament are supposed to be the legislatures, right? They're the ones who create our laws for us.
Absolutely.
So it means they're supposed to be very abreast with the law and be concerned with the laws that they have created, right? Now, it's very clear in the Constitution, 1992 Constitution, that in Article 82, the vote of censure, it states categorically how you remove a minister of state, and it applies to the deputy minister as well, right? So there are laid down procedures on how you remove a minister of state. These are things that you're supposed to follow, and that is actually an action of parliament. So to have parliamentarians come out and make a demand on the president to remove a finance minister means they don't even understand their laws, or they're ignorant of it, that's it. Either they don't understand for malicious intent, or they are ignorant of the law. And if that is the case, then they're not fit to be in that seat. I've seen this same argument come up with this call from the IES, that the minister should step down. Well, yes, that's the general call. Yeah. But the main process or procedure for removing any minister of state happens to be an act of parliament. So that call should actually be directed directly to parliament, for parliament to start the vote of censure. And it's very clear if you look at Article 82, what it says in there. With your permission, I'll just make reference quickly. Yes. So it says, before the vote of censure is done, it has that solution, that decision has to be supported by no less than 2/3 of parliament. But what happens is that there has to be a prior notice sent to parliament. Now, that prior notice will go for 7 days. And then notice is given to the minister in question. He has to come to parliament, and there will be a debate on why he should be removed or retained. And that's supposed to be allowed, 14 days are supposed to be allowed for that exercise. So a prior 7 days notice for the motion to remove him, 7 days for debating the issue. And then there's going to be a general vote, which has...
That's a 14-day period.
Yes. So even that notice has to be supported by 1/3 of parliament before the notice is put across. Then we have a debate. After the debate, there's going to be a vote. And the vote has to be supported by 2/3 of parliament before the president will have to assent to it. Now, it says even before the president assents to it, if the decision is taken by parliament, but the minister decides to resign, then the president will not have to remove it because, of course, you resign, yes. But these are the laid down procedures in Article 82. So when I find members of parliament and other stakeholders asking the president to remove the finance minister, or just throwing out into the air that the finance minister should step down, that is actually not going to go anywhere. And it makes me think maybe all of this might be just one grand play or one big game, yes. Because if you're really serious about removing the minister from post, the Constitution is very clear, again, in Article 82, on the procedures, laid down procedures on how that is done. So why are we not looking into that procedure, if indeed we want to remove the energy minister? Go through the process. And it's really interesting because he has 14 days to debate this in Parliament, where he'll be invited to justify his retaining...
But you don't think it's a good call?
Say again?
You don't think it's a good call from IES?
Oh, no. I'm not saying it's not a good call. But you see, this is the thing. If the issue is, let's remove the energy minister because he's not doing his work, for an institution as IES to come out to call for the removal of the minister, it begs the question, what is the president doing? Because the president is supposed to be the top manager, the CEO of the state. And he's supposed to supervise all the works of his appointees. So if any of your appointees is not delivering on his mandate, and CSOs or organizations such as the EIS have come out to call for his sacking, you ask yourself, is the president saying he's content with what the energy minister is doing? So it brings up a bigger question, yes. That is a managerial issue at the very top. So this should not just be limited to a debate between the IES and the ministry or the Minister for Energy. It's actually a government administration problem. That someone in your administration who is your appointee is not delivering on his mandate. And some people have seen that to be a grounds for which he should step down. Doesn't mean the overall manager, the CEO of the state, is okay with that. Then it speaks of a certain level of incompetence here. And I'm saying that's how I want the conversation to project. Not just like, between an organization and the minister. Then it seems like a political persecution of some sort.
Okay.
But let's deal with the issues as they are. And then again, if you really want to remove any minister of state, there are laid down procedures which we've agreed to play by. And that is Article 82.
And it's better we go through that procedure. Yes, anyway, if you just joined us here on the show, this is News Flash here on Prime Morning. It's proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise Phone Papa Pathie, and you're guaranteed quality phones. We're talking about Samsung, Nokia. We're talking about some very, great things that CCTV cameras that we're selling are doing out there. They're monitoring your homes, your offices for you. You don't know who you've left your home for. And sometimes you want to be careful, and extremely careful for that matter. Now, this you can monitor anywhere at any time. And so you just have to come get one for yourself and you're good to go. Call them on 024-464-22338 or 0555-939311 and speak to us. Do not pick any number on Google and do business with these as scammers. Call the numbers that I've given to you and speak to Franco Trading Enterprise directly and do business with us. Do not forget that we've got 40% discount that is awaiting you on any of the accessories that you buy and some other phones that you purchase from us. So why don't you just come through and do business with us? You can also go to our social media pages, and website for that matter. You can go to www.francotrading.com and you see all the info, the pictures of the products that you want to buy from us and all of that, all on our website, and you can actually do business with us. Alternatively, you can also download the app, and once you get the app, you have everything in your hands, and that's how Franco Trading Enterprise operates. Thank you so much. Now, courtesy Franco Trading Enterprise, let me go to our viewers and grab some messages from them. We'll come back and get on to our next conversation. Now, let me start off here and see what we have. This one says, good morning. Good morning, madam. Knowing the track record of former President Mahama, he and NDC has nothing to offer Ghanaians. The alternative is scary. Opoku, Prempeh, and Dr. Baumia will solve this energy sector crisis in 2 weeks. I trust them more than the NDC. Dr. Baumia will definitely win upcoming 2024 elections. Jazikan Municipal Institute, Buem, Basai, Komla Matthias sent in that one. Good. This one over here says that, good morning. You see, NPP will never accept any wrongdoing by their government, especially their ministers. Let me ask, how many now do they NPP want to use to know their problems on electricity when they were championing of knowing all the challenges facing Ghana? No turning to blaming future overseer JDM 24. I'm advising Ghanaians to look beyond the likes and vote for 24-hour to get truth to government and empathy ministers to serve you and your family. Wise G from Upper East sent in that. Meshach Asante at Amasaman says Ghanaians are fed up with this corrupt and insensitive government, which Dr. Baumia is the key player of it. The only way out is to bring back President Mahama to power so that his game-changer policy, 24-hour economy, can be implemented to save Ghanaians from this ongoing hardships created by Nana and Baumia. Greetings, says Sedem Athenyo, incoming MP Amasaman. Francis Arthur, again at Amasaman, says, in fact, NPP most shameless party, arrogance of power management. Everything in Ghana that the youth are waiting for them will vote against them. They don't know anything. Only what they know is to defend criminals. Do so is to kill us now. Napo, tell the Noises 419 party. Greetings to incoming President John Mahama and incoming MP Amasaman Sedem Athenyo. I know you guys get a little bit boiled up when you're sending us the messages because you want to just express yourselves, but do well and send them well so we're able to read them well for you, okay? Thank you. Good morning. Odro Manso Seshiria says that the doomsday of Mahama was far, far better than that Baumia and Anadu because the minister was humble and respect Ghanaians. ECG gives timetable without asking for it. Gallon that petrol was 14, but Baumia's letter is 14.89 pesos. All right, so that's you speaking on some issues over there. Let me go to Pick Farm. And Alhaji Hamza is there. It says, good morning, KMJ. In my humble opinion, calling on the president to sack the removal of the energy minister will not happen today and will not happen tomorrow. All the problems we are going through should be placed at the doorsteps of the president himself. Take a look at the ECG boss himself. This is a man who is supposed to be working in the interest of Ghanaians, but he has decided to be working in the interest of the politician and his paymasters. This can also happen in Ghana. Trust me, we are where we are today simple because of the arrogant posture of the functionaries and communicators of this government. They will not listen to the advice of anyone simple because they feel they know it all. The future of this country under its wicked, super incompetent government is pregnant and hopeless period. Monies that was channeled into the cathedral should have been used to buy fuel for our plants to provide us with power. God have mercy. Good morning to you and your panels there. Please let the NDC and its members understand that if Ghanaians would vote for them come 2024, it will depend on their vision for the future of this country and not their prayer and wish for Dumso will gain them power. We all saw how Dumso did to us under John Mahama, and we know Dumso have levels too. So the more they talk about Dumso, the more people get scared of hearing John Mahama's name. Mugabe from Banda and Kwanta sent in that. Okay, let me get to this one over here. It says, greetings, Joy Prime. Please kindly ask the NDC man if Dumso has been solved and which party solved it. I remember the NPP said it was a monetary issue when NDC was in power. Now I believe that the problem is still monetary, so let the NDC man understand that. NDC can never ever say they solved Dumso. He was also talking about ESLA. Kindly let him tell us how much was that money. Nana in administrative. I think he mentioned all of that. He gave details of the figures and all that. Good morning, KMJ and your panelists. My concern is about the current Dumso situation where the incompetent sector minister tried to tell the general public to prepare their own timetable. And I believe the next time he's going to tell us to go and prepare our own light. This man, so-called Napo, has no respect for the people of Ghana, and such a person is going to be selected as a flag bearer to the party, MPP. I'm sorry. Ghanaians must wake up against such people who have no respect to us. He's too arrogant and pompous. He should not take us for granted. Again, you journalists should help us through ECG if perhaps we have to pay for a meter for about 1,500 to 2,000 Ghana cedis before they render service to the general public. Power from Pabuasi sent in that one. Let me get to this one from Akisime, I'm sure. Honorable Akisime Seshibekwa, and it says, Dumso or not Dumso, Ghanaians have already decided to kick NPP out. NPP have been the worst government ever in this country. The energy minister should be made to give Ghanaians the definition of Dumso. His definition will put his matter to sleep, and we shall see whether his definition fits into the noise they made in 2014, 2015, and 2016. NPP, you see, talk is cheap. Today, NPP are running away from their own shadows. Regards to ASP Gate inside Seshi Bekwai. And that's from Honorable Akisime Seshi Bekwai sent in that one. From there. The difference is very clear now. The educated person is Nanado. He can only speak better English and nothing else. Baumia is intelligent because he was able to chew everything he was taught in school, but can't practicalize it. And John Mahama is a genius. He can combine education and with intelligence to solve the problem. Good morning to Jane Nana Opoku Ajiman. Boti Philip from Keta sent in that one as well. All right, so those are some of the messages you've sent. Let me see if I can do one last one, and then we'll get back to the conversation. Now, Napo's response on the need for Dumso timetable was nothing less than being cheeky, show of power and arrogance, and must be condemned in all uncertain terms. Such as a person wanting to be running mate for Baumia. Nana Kakari from Techiman sent in that one as well. And let me see, maybe, okay. We'll get back to some of the messages when we are able to get them. But thanks for sending your messages. You can continue to send them in. We're definitely going to be reading them. We're moving on to our next topic, which has to do with the Dumso demo. And you remember that a few days ago, Yvonne Nelson tweeted at Imani Africa on Twitter, asking them about when they would decide to contact her to make another Dumso demo, and they have actually replied, and in response, they say that Yvonne Nelson can go on with their demo. When they are ready to come out, they will select someone that they want to partner to embark on that demonstration. And if you remember, when Doomso was rife, in NDC's time, Yvonne Nelson and a few other people in the creative arts space actually went out there and demonstrated vigorously against the government. And, well, that was expected to have happened a couple of weeks ago, months ago, but we've not seen anything yet. So he decided to reach out to them. And they also gave a response. Let me start off with Adel. Adel, Imani Africa says that Yvonne can actually decide and go on her own demo. When they are ready, they will also find someone they want to go with.
KMJ, right before I enter into that, I just want to chip in something within a minute, and then I run straight.
Okay, our time is limited. So.
Yeah, we're still talking energy, though. So he indicated, for example, that, we have cheaper energies that we could have used, and that he doesn't think that, going thermal was basically, prudent, because for him, he believes that it is more
expensive to run on that.
But you see, with the kind of system that was put in place by the NDC, it wasn't supposed to be a problem. How were they able to keep the light on for 7 years? Because of the investments. At least we know that you had gas. You've taken gas from Atuabo, $600 million worth of gas. If that Atuabo gas processing plant wasn't there, that means that you would have to find somewhere else to get that $600 million. That's what we're telling you. We're telling you that we gave you ESLA, which gave you 33 billion. And someone was asking, we gave ESLA, that gave you 33 billion over the period of 7 years. That was supposed to have cleared 9.7 billion, and you'd have had accesses, today as we're still talking. And you've even introduced another one, so that shouldn't be a problem. Again, the issue of the nuclear and all the things we're talking about, as of 1963, there was plans by Nkrumah to work on the nuclear plant, which is Akwabenya. And then the UP tradition, when the coup happened, and then it was abandoned. So yes, that can be a conversation that we can do, we can revisit. But to say that, what is the plan for all the capacity that John Dramani Mahama, for example, added, perhaps he doesn't know. So there was a plan to also export extra 300 megawatt in order to bring in you extra USD, aside the fact that the factories that are going to be built in the country we're going to bring. Why? The Omina Fish Processing Plant, it was built by us. When we did the MPS, expansion at Tema, it was built by us. Someone saying, if the Commander Sugar Factory had come upstream, it was built by us. And the capacity would have been there for people. But these governments simply just came to car and then sat down and sorted a mess of everything that has happened. I just wanted to add that to it. And then as for the issue of Article 82, listen, we've tried it on the finance minister. He mentioned it himself. We tried it. 88 members of the MPP, their own political party, said we don't want the finance minister. The NDC came out and said, you know what, come, help us, vote of censure. Article 82 has indicated 2/3 of the House. Let's vote and take the finance minister. Where were they? It is not only NDC that is in parliament.
You didn't file the notice.
Please. The issue is that when the issues came up, and we called on them and said, come, let's do this together.
Did they begin the process?
No, good question. No, I'm coming. We didn't begin the process. But
so what are you talking about?
Can you please...
I'm not
misinformed. I'm only telling you that when the time was due and we said that we wanted to start the process because there was supposed to be a conversation and we called for that conversation, come, let's have it. Let's see, how do we do it? Minority, majority, how can we push it through? They didn't. That's my argument. And so at the end of the day, all we're saying is that, listen, this process, as long as Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of the Republic of Ghana, this process you are calling for is not going to work. IES is making a lot of noise. The people of Ghana should make a lot of noise. Perhaps the president may listen. End of story.
Okay.
Now, the issue
quick
of
on that one.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 minutes to do each for this.
No problem.
Press for time.
See, when the issue of Doomso came in 2013, 2014, late 2013, entered into 14, 15, and then 16, by the time we left power, we had basically resolved the issue. And I keep saying this consistently. We increased capacity, that was one. We didn't stop there. We knew that we needed fuel, so we brought the issue of fuel. We gave you that Atuabo gas processing plant. We gave you that. We tried as much as possible to work on the plants to make sure that some of the plants are taking dual fuel. We did that. We didn't stop there. We said we also know that it's a financial issue, so we needed to resolve that. We did that. We did all of these processes. But you see, like Kojo Opoku indicated on Metro TV yesterday, the issue of solving capacity issues and the issue of finances when it comes to the energy sector, it is not something that happens overnight. So it is that long period that we had to go through the process of working on the emergency plan that took us that 3-year period for us to be able to resolve it. What I don't understand about the people of Ghana today is that I am excited Yvonne Nelson is calling for this, and I'm excited the kind of response that has been given.
Money.
Basically, what she was trying to put out there is basic. That listen, that time, it was you people who called me and said, let's go and do this. You called us. You called me and said, look, yeah, you're a celebrity, so lead the thing, we'll give you backing. How is it that now nobody's calling me? This is what she's saying. So out of anger, he also responded, look, you can go and do it with whoever you want to do it. But you see, it is that hypocrisy that I don't understand. You understand what I'm saying? At least today, what we bequeathed to the MPP, if you look at the issue of what we did in terms of capacity and the fact that we worked on fuel and the fact that we still did something regarding finances, we shouldn't be in this situation. So if we're in this situation, it is worse off to think about the fact that we are here today and nobody is talking, like nobody, no demonstrations, no vigil. Equity, fairness. If you think John Dramani, at the time, you remember what Esla used to say? Esla says anytime her light goes off, she curses John Dramani Mahama. Today, when you say Nanado or Baumia, they say, oh, don't call Nanado or Baumia's name, it is ECG. John Mahama's time, he was sitting at ECG. It is the hypocrisy. Like, how do you want to build a country when you have these sets of mentality? How do you build a country when Adel and KMJ are standing on the same footing? You know, you say Adel is better, KMJ is worse, on the same footing, or probably even worse. It doesn't make sense. Let the people of the country understand that, look, what is wrong, regardless. If the people of Ghana were struggling with their businesses today, I was watching Joy News yesterday, people are losing their monies. Yesterday, Joy News was talking about somebody who was a miller, who is actually sitting and lying down in shop. There was another person they shot. People are struggling. Today, we may not be selling pure water, but organizers are struggling. You understand what I'm saying? So whatever happened back then, it is now this one has started. So what it means is that if it's going to take them 5 years to raise money, and it's going to take them 5 years to pay this energy debt, if it's going to take them 6 years, we're still in it. That's what it means. This just started. You know, it just started. So you can't say, oh, ours is just for two months. Or why? You think if this has started 3 years ago, perhaps we'll still be in it. Wow. So we just started. And unfortunately for them, because they are, basically moving out of power, they feel like they can basically manage it. But we're calling the people of Ghana. Yvonne is right to have called for it. It is the right thing to do. Ibani Ghana should stand up. Let us all wake up. Let us all call them to order. Because if it was wrong yesterday, certainly can be right today.
Great. Fahd.
All right, thank you. I believe I've heard my brother trying to stress much on what they did within the energy sector and how he wants to tell us this morning that was the best and the prudent solutions that we needed as at that time. You see, it's very funny, and to an extent, I have a friend who say fictitious narrative, to think that the NDC today is the best alternative. That's the fictitious narrative I've ever come across in political discussions. Why am I saying this? You see, when we took over in 2017, Ghanaians will bear with us that we came to meet some agreement within the energy sector to deal with Dumso. That was the objective, right? And when we took over in 2017, we came to realize that we were told, as at that time, that we were owing $1.6 billion to our IPPs, right? That's the independent power producers, as at when we took over. Then we decided to do some renegotiations to see how true this were. We came to realize that the $1.6 billion that the former administrations told us that we're owing wasn't the truth. It was never the truth.
What was it?
It was 1.2 billion. 1.2. Yet, but they told us that we're owing 1.6, with excess of $400 million. These were some of the expensive deals they had to take because they were under pressure.
So what they told was higher than what was the real case?
That's the point. They get the point. They made us to believe that we were in crisis, truly. And see, let me say this. As painful and as difficult I will admit to this, that we are facing challenges in our electricity system, I don't think anybody this morning can tell me that what happened some years ago, a period of 3 good years, where electricity in this country, we had students learning with candles. We had students who had to go under the street lights to even study, to write exams. We had hospitals, theater rooms, where medical doctors were using their lights on their phone to operate. We saw all this in this country. We don't want to go to that discussion.
So the problem now is not pressuring enough for a demonstration. That's what you're saying?
No. Let's not also run away from the fact that you see, this is an area I indicated earlier on that yes, we admit there are challenges, and the minister in charge of the energy sector is taking all the necessary steps required to give us prudent solutions, not expensive deals. Just because we need to solve a problem.
Which we understand.
Which
So my question is...
Yvonne, I'm responding to everything together.
Okay.
With Yvonne's call for demonstration, I think that's her right. That's her right. And nobody can question it. She can decide to do it this morning if she's ready. Imani Ghana had a different claim altogether. They have indicated that over the past years, they've made calls on government and other sectors within the energy other institutions within the energy sector to ensure some efficiency. They never heard from you. That's their concerns. So why now? And I believe it's only fair to say that if you truly believe you've worked with a certain group of people in the past on something related to Dumso, and there is a similar situation today, and they had consistently been on government, been on the ECG, the ministry, calling on civil organizations, right, to deal with the challenges, not even a retweet of their posts. Well, I've even given them some kind of confidence that you are with us. So to them, they felt she was only trying to use them to also make some capital out of the situation. That's what.
But we're yet to see one respond to those claims
as well. That's the tweets I've so far read from Imani.
Absolutely.
You get the point. So I think, yes, if Yvonne is ready to go out for a demonstration, nobody has the power to stop her. No, that's her right. And every citizen has the right to join.
She doesn't need the money to do that.
She doesn't need the money. All she has to do is just come out and tell Ghanaians that by the end of a month or next week or
Imani or without Imani,
I'm going to go out and do my demonstration. I think it is only fair, and I think the only thing we've come to realize that yes, probably in the past, as she indicated, that they reached out to her and she's now reaching out. Well, I don't know the motive. I don't know the agenda she's trying to push here. I don't know until she tells us. So let's leave it for her to come and tell us that she's preparing a day for demonstrations. And whenever Imani feels that they've gotten to a point where they also want to hit the street and demonstrate, they'll say they'll do. And they'll get their partners to join them, right? So I think we should understand the situation here. There is a challenge. Government is dealing with a challenge.
Okay.
We are only pleading with Ghanaians that we know how Dumso feels. We've seen it before. And we are pleading with Ghanaians and we are giving them the assurance. There have been a lot of discussion on our generation and the approach to power generation in this country. And I believe very well, last year, or early this year, when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia spoke with the Ghanaians on his visions, he indicated that with his government, there will be a mixture where we will have to rely on other source of power, like the green energy, where he's indicated that he's going to look up to a 2,000 megawatt capacity to add up to our existing capacity from green energy, not just any energy, because we've seen very well in this country, we've seen how the sun is every day, we've seen the wind every day. As we speak, if you go to Buidam, there is a solar farm at Buidam, completed. If you go to Yendi, there's a new one ongoing at Yendi. So these are things we believe that as we move forward as a country, we can add up to our energy sector to also ensure cost effectiveness, because it is important. I believe Nii said something very true. If you look at how we generate power in this country over the years, and I think in this discussion, somehow we've not been too much fair with ECG. I'm saying with all honesty. Why? Because we've heard from ECG many times, and I think I will urge you to use their platform to also educate customers out there that it is important that if you use electricity, you pay for it. Well, it is this same money that will be used to power the electricity you're using. So if you're using electricity through any means and you're not paying for it, it comes back as a loss to the organization. And as a result of that, it causes the difficulties in operations for these organizations. So I think as a country, I believe someday when we move out of this crisis, we will have to engage properly on such the topics, because I believe a lot of people out there will tell you, I'm experiencing Dumso. If you go to their homes and you check the kind of meters they are using, they will tell you they've complained to ECG several times, they are not coming back to change it. You go to other places, you realize very well that these people are using this electricity illegally. Yet we are complaining because it's a national problem. I think when we move out of this situation, we will have to have that discussion proper to ensure that if we can have a stable power in this country, we also need to be responsible in the usage of power in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. And I think that, the ECG has the power to actually deal with some of these issues. Because that's their mandate.
That's the point.
So if somebody is using illegal...
As a human institution,
Fahd,
I agree with you that ECG has the power to identify all these challenges.
Let's not go to human institution. Nothing is human institutions. We have human institutions everywhere. But things like this do not happen.
That's why
the same human institution you find here is the same human institution we find in the US, in the UK, in Canada.
When the ECG
so let's not always Fahd.
Let me just quickly.
I understand.
When ECG introduced the digitalized system in payment.
Fahd, I understand.
Look at one advantage. Look at this one.
But I will not take the human institution as human institution.
Get this point. Let me make this quick one, just a minute. When ECG introduced the online platforms for payments, we've come to realize that they've doubled up their revenues by 300%. Do you get the point here? Clearly tells you that there was this deficiency in revenue.
Whose responsibility is it to
and
check
that's why it became important. That's why it became important that we had to introduce in the online payment platform to reduce or to stop some of this
stopping.
If
they want to do that
that's what we're saying.
Stopping that.
KMJ, let me tell you a very interesting story. Within a second, I live around the East Legon Enclave, right? And I know what happens within those areas. You see houses with air conditions connected all over. You have ECG staffs coming to inspect their own meters. But by law, they are mandated to have access to their meter any point in time they come to access it. You go and you see people denying them access. Deliberately. They see them coming. Wait. The point is, quickly. That's why I think this is going to in the midst of this crisis, it becomes very difficult to have this discussion. In the midst of this crisis. That's why I indicated earlier on. In the midst of this crisis, it becomes a bit difficult to have these discussions. I hope let's leave it there.
If we want to move out and then have this conversation,
then we can also tell Ghanaians that we need to also be responsible if we want our lives to stay on.
All of a sudden, we are not irresponsible.
No,
you are irresponsible.
All right,
don't do that.
It's not surprising that you find people coming out to do demonstrations, particularly in election year. So people are seasonal activists or seasonal demonstrators, if you like. They only stay till it's convenient for them, especially in election years, and they come out to make all of this noise. There have been so many issues that have come up that have warranted demonstrations. In fact, we've actually organized a number of demonstrations.
It happens almost all the time from different sectors anyway.
Certain particular people are always silent or they stay away from those events. But when it's an election year, everybody wants to show their face, and then, get involved. It's hypocritical at best. But I wish we would go away from that kind of petty politicking. But I want to share some fun facts with our viewers today. I have said since 1992, the beginning of this so-called Fourth Republic, MPP and NDC have never been in opposition. I say this again. Since the beginning of the Fourth Republic, NPP and NDC have never been in opposition. How do I mean? KMJ, government is in three arms, right?
Yeah.
So you have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary.
Yeah.
The only part of government that switches arms, switches faces, or switches colors is executive. But every point in time, you have representation from the two parties in parliament. The excuse there would be, minority will have their say, majority will have their way. Problem. God being so good, at the point when either party would have had 16 years each, having been at the helm of affairs, God put both of them in parliament, creating a hung parliament. So now there was no issue of majority have its way, minority have its say. Now the two players had equal teams, and you were supposed to play the game for all Ghanaians to see. And now Ghanaians have seen what this is. At best, it's collaboration to do everything they do. When they're supposed to stand, my brother was saying they called on the other side to start the process of the vote of censure, right? It is not calling some, that's not what the Constitution says. It doesn't say you call the other side to come into agreement with you before you go into the action. No. It says file the motion. And when the motion is filed, you need 1/3 of that to sign it. But then start that.
2/3.
Not 2/3, my brother. I read it.
Of what?
So,
The notice-
Not to start.
To start, the notice
Oh,
is
the
supposed
notice
to be.
to start. Okay, yeah, let's go.
But then it's voting on that is where the 2/3
Yes,
come in.
yeah.
Yeah. So 1/3 for the notice. But you see, the thing is, if it takes one person to file the motion, if you do it and nobody supports it, then
at least
it's on
you've
record.
started the process.
It's on record. The parliamentary hazard would show that some people started the process to remedy a certain situation.
And they didn't get the backing.
Exactly my point. But that was not started. At best, when something happens, the best they could do is to walk out. And see, the votes in parliament are just two. It's yes and no. If you don't agree with anything and you are the only person against that motion, you vote no for the records. You don't walk out. You don't boycott it. But that has been the strategy they play with us. So I want to tell this again, rehashing my statement. Since the beginning of this so-called Fourth Republic, MPP and NDC have never been in opposition. At every point in time, they've had representation in one arm of government, which has been the parliamentary or the legislature. You should get that straight.
Okay.
So this politicking where, oh, we're not in power, it was not our fault, it was these people who did this, it was these people who did this. You as a representative in that arm of government, which is the legislature, what did you do to counter this, apart from walking out and boycotting? What did you do? This is for Ghanaians to understand. Now, I won't waste my time on all of those backtracking. I'll make a direct call to my youth in Ghana. We've gone to a point where I said before that we had 16 years each for these two parties to show what they can deliver to the people of Ghana. We've seen it for ourselves. Apart from the equalization and then the blame games that they've been played, what has been the direct impact on the lives of Ghanaians, particularly the youth? Today, the youth of Ghana have become more discerning and they understand political issues. They become more politically conscious. So I speak to my youth today. It's time for us to make a conscious decision to decide what our future holds. And we can only do that when we come together and make a decision outside of the political establishment that has ruled for 32 years and have put us in this particular space. This is an invitation, open invitation, for all Ghanaian youth to come on board the movement for change. For it is indeed change that we want. Let us come together, let's rally together and make decisions for ourselves concerning our future. Let's not leave this to people to decide for us what we are going to do in this country. And I'll say this, the number one job of every citizen is to remain eternally vigilant. Not to expect that you've elected leaders so they come to do some work for you, no. But it is our job to hold those leaders to account and make sure that the mandate that we've given them, they will deliver on that. Otherwise, we'll hold ourselves to blame.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So our time is up, but our offenses. Good morning, KMJ. We're going through the same electricity outages together, which I agree, but I'm sure God is using this as a reminder to the excruciating pain where JM took us through for 4 solid years. Today, Adel is crying wolf because we're seeing a similar, not same situation for about just 4 months as against 48 months. Clearly, God is good, helping us to have a flashback of an incompetent flag bearer who's only bent on coming back to continue the mess he left us in. And that's a very long one he's reading for us this morning, but that's coming from Opare in Amasamai. Opare, I see you, my brother. I know where you also stand.
Closing remarks.
In this case, we'll leave it there. But let me say a big thank you to Adel, Fahd, and...
No closing remarks.
Oh, please.
No closing remarks.
Let me say, you guys are supposed to be saying thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise for me. No remarks. But thank you so much, Adel, for coming through. And thanks, Fahd, for coming through as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming and making time for us.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you guys next week. But let's say a big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise. Made it possible for us to have this conversation. Please, please, and please again, do not pick any number on social media or Google or anything like that to speak to us. Those are scammers. Call the numbers you see on your screens, 0246422338, 0555-939311, and speak to Franco Trading Enterprise. We've got 40% discount waiting for you. I don't know what you're waiting for. All you have to do is you just come through and do business with us. If you need a tabletop fridge, a CCTV camera, we've got air conditioners that we're selling as well. Nokia, Samsung, iPhones, smart TVs, and you just name it. The accessories you buy from us, you've got 40% discount waiting for you. So please do come through. Our website is www.francotrading.com, and you can also download the Franco app, which is on Google or Play Store. You can just download it over there, and you have everything in your hands. Franco Trading Enterprise says, phone Papa Pafi. Still, your phone Papa Pafi. Thank you so much to our viewers, those who sent in their messages as well. We really appreciate that as well. Coming up, what's trending? And we've got Rosalind also having a big interview this morning as well. In between time on entertainment, Guru will be joining us this morning here on the show. There's still more to come. Do stay.
Great.